feeling that wafts through the air. Every street so revealing, it's hard not to stare. It's a realm so appealing, it beats anywhere. If you don't mind the smell, it's a happy day in hell. Hi, mister, go fuck yourself. There's an endless trash fire that's burning my soul. Got a ton of barbed wire to shove in this hole. Doing what is required, we all have our role. I'm not doing well. Another shitty day in hell. Hello, this is Amora Sun. Welcome to another episode of Saturday Night Shrinking. I'm here today with my good friend and co-star of A Midsummer Night's Dream, directed by Janani Srinivasan. His name is Austin Sasser. He is a graduate of the prestigious Atlantic Acting School program, and he is playing the role of Oberon as well as Theseus with me. And I would just like to chat with him today a bit about, his journey here. How are you today, Austin?
I'm doing very, very well. Happy to be here. Happy to be, around to practice and get this thing going.
Amen. I know. So I know that you're from Michigan, and I know that you came here to pursue your dream of acting, and you've told me before that you've been cast as kings for a good majority of the time. Do you think that you, emote a kind of kingly energy to attract that kind of casting?
It's so interesting because I think the majority of the times that I have played kings, which have been actually quite a few times, I think it's the voice. I think because of all these, practice and vocal classes and, all the acting techniques that we do, I think it's led to getting a sense of resonance and a sense of deepness and a sense of power. And I think it's just served me well. I think I just got blessed with a good voice that can carry, a kingly role and a kingly spirit. And I'm glad. I love it. I love playing kings. I hope we can keep it going this way too.
I concur, and Austin, you have this beautiful cat named Churi, who you've adopted from an adoption center here in New York City. Do you know much about kings and cats and their connection?
As I'm actually answering this question, you should see my Black Panther jersey right now. So it's funny when I was thinking of a name with her, because I'm a big Marvel fan and I'm a big nerd when it comes to comic books and movies and everything. And I think the Black Panther, when it comes to, cats and kings, it's so crazy that you asked me that same question. I would like to do more on the non-nerd aspect of it and more the historical aspect, but I think it has something like a prestigious vibe to it, a prestigious and a royalness to it, a prosperous vibe to it. And I think, honestly, as she's sitting here looking at me right now, I think you've helped me benefit. You looked up as I said that.
She's aware.
She is so aware. She's so cute. I actually have a tattoo of a big cat right here. What kind of a face of it? But I think I've always been a dog person, but I think I'm leaning towards cats now. I think y'all are transforming me.
Yeah. Cats are very advantageous to professional creatives. They're said to anchor us and to also just kind of reinforce our energies and what we're dreaming about. Cats were the accompaniers to the underworld and the next life and Egyptian prophecies and legends. So, and I know that when you said, an interesting voice, that's what attracts you to these casting directors, putting you in the roles of kings. I'm quite a fan of funny voices.
Oh, thank you. Me too. I can throw a lot of them out there.
Right now, probably my favorite funny voice that I'm very attracted to is the voice actor who plays Alistair from Hazbin Hotel cartoon series. Are you familiar with him?
I am not. You have to educate me on it.
Coming from someone as ancient as you, I take that as quite the compliment.
He kind of sounds a bit like my favorite guy. I have a bit of an embarrassing obsession that I have shared with Austin in the past around the vocal effects of a certain comedian.
Yep, I know exactly who we're talking about. I know exactly who you're talking about right now.
And, I made another friend who's lived in the city. He lived in Astoria for a couple of years, and he really followed the trajectory of John Mulaney and his first wife for quite some time. And his first wife was this really wonderful visual artist She was Jewish, so their connection, a Roman Catholic man, John Mulaney, Jewish woman, this wonderful artist woman.
Anna Marie Tendler.
Was interesting. And my friend had a visceral response to their breakup and how John Mulaney came across his new love affair, who he just married over the weekend.
Come on, John. Congratulations to the big homie.
Olivia, how important is voice to you and who you gravitate towards?
It's so interesting because I think voices, when it comes to especially different type of roles and like Shakespearean and, performance, as I said, I think I'm a big nerd. Well, I know I'm a big nerd person. So when it comes to video game voicing and like anime voicing and cartoon voicing, all of that speaks so much to me because you can do, I think some of our favorite voice actors, at least I'll speak for myself, I've never actually seen what they look like. But when it comes to their voice, I can kind of distinct, like, oh, this person is here. This person sounds a lot like this person. And then I'll Google the name and it'll be the exact same person. But I think the biggest person that I would say is as a voice person is Tony Todd.
And what did Tony Todd star in that people might recognize?
Candyman.
Holy.
Candyman. I think the distinctness of his voice and like the octave and the deepness of it. And then he made a lot of other cameo appearances. Final Destination. He was the one in the back with the dead bodies, and he had like a fantastic monologue. And then he actually finished up doing Spider-Man 2, the game that came out a couple months ago. That was a big seller on PS5, and he played the voice of Venom. Oh. And so I watched an interview with him, and he was speaking about how like all of these, like the voice and the deepness, you can carry it around to so many different roles and like play with the octaves and the tonality of everything that it can get you in the door with a lot of places. So I think Tony Todd is probably one of the biggest influences. Also, Judy Dench. Dame Judy Dench. I think her voice is the regalness of it. Yeah. And that's another big person that I think, a lot of Shakespearean people, Ian McKellen, Sir Patrick Stewart, Kathy Bates, like all these people have such distinct voices that I very much love to just listen to. Joel Edgerton is another big one. And Denzel. I have so many.
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember listening to an interview where Maggie Smith and the woman who also plays Professor, the Hufflepuff leader, they were talking about how annoying Judi Dench was because whenever they applied for any kind of American role, Judy always got it. They had to just check if Judy was unavailable before they even put their hat in because Judy just snatches everything up.
Oh, everything. 007, I could watch. I love all those. I love Bond. James Bond. Like, I love listening to her. I listen to her podcast that she's been on because I've been looking more into like Shakespearean podcasts on Apple Music. So I'll sit and I'll listen to like the Folger Shakespeare podcast, and they had a whole interview. She was going through every single one of her Shakespearean roles of all time for like 50 minutes. And I sat there with imaginary popcorn and just said, and just ate it up. I just ate it up. And I just kind of drifted and said, Judy.
The popcorn eating vocal noises were an added benefit to that description.
Oh, man. I do it all the time. You just see when I'm just by myself. I can eat everything. Chips, popcorn, everything comes out.
You gotta. And you described to me earlier in one of our rehearsals, you had interest in pursuing RADA in England to kind of extend your Shakespearean studies.
Yes.
Yes, tell me more about that.
Yes. Well, I started my journey not too long ago when it comes to Shakespearean things. Mostly, I did a little bit at university at the Baldwin Wallace University in Ohio, where I graduated from undergrad. But then I mostly explored it in here, actually at the Atlantic, with one of my biggest teacher inspirations. Big shout out to Anya Saffer. Big shout out to her. She phenomenal teacher, gave me so much confidence and outlook on just being Shakespeare and doing Shakespeare. And especially, when it comes to being African American and not feeling like I had a voice in a lot of the Shakespearean stuff because I couldn't really relate. She was just a lovely vessel. And in Chekhov also with all those type of plays. But it started this path where I just wanted to keep diving in. And then all of a sudden, I kept getting casted in so much Shakespearean stuff that I said, you know what would be really fly? Going over to England and studying. Because I had some friends that actually studied over there recently, and they were saying how much of a great experience it was. We're actually doing a show together right now. How much of a great experience it was, and the differences that they were kind of listing between over there on the West End and here when it comes to studying Shakespeare, and how there's different, intricate things that they do differently. Like a lot of more, it's from what they told me, it seems like it's a lot more scansion, like heavy, when it's like the rhythms and the line endings and, the trochees and like all those things, versus me over here. I think I've been mostly taught to thought chunk it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then that's, so I think it would be so cool to blend those two, to be like, what is really different? Like, what is going on? So I would like to. Now, it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's expensive, so hopefully we can pass some money. But I would love to. Rada, Lambda, I believe is another one.
Mm-hmm.
Just any one of them over there.
Have you ever visited the UK before?
I sure have not.
Oh, well. So my mother is English. I have a lot of English relations, which is part of the reason why I got into Shakespeare. What? And which is why I can easily fall into quite a convincing English accent. I just think of my mother, and I'm there. I'm already there. So if you've never been to England, what a wonderful journey to explore. Like, you're not just hitting the London town to see the Beefeaters at the Tower of London. You're going to try and expand your perspicacity with some of the toughest Elizabethan language humanly possible, with some of the people that coached, Sir Anthony Hopkins, or my personal favorite, Alan Rickman. He went to RADA, yes. And now that man's voice. Like, I saw a photo of him when he was in his mid-20s or late or early 30s. Ugly as F. But it doesn't matter because of the voice.
Turn to page 394.
What are two young Gryffindors such as yourselves doing here inside on a day like today?
You, Mr. Potter, will turn Mr. Weasley into a matchbox.
Anytime, anywhere, Alan Rickman. And did you read his wife's publication of his diary entries? His wife, Rita, she posthumously published all of his diary entries from all these amazing projects that he starred in.
Really?
Yes.
I had no idea. What?
Yeah.
Is that, could you go to just the bookstore and just pick that up and just read it?
You can.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
I own a copy. It's dense.
Wow.
But before I moved to New York, I got a copy and I was reading through it. And sometimes it's tough to keep up with journaling, But how Alan Rickman did it is he just wrote a couple of lines every day. And it could be very bland. It can just be about what happened or who he talked to or his impressions of who he talked to but he's very, he throws shade on a lot of industry professionals. I think one was
had to work with this person again. And they didn't support our co-star one bit, and they didn't help him come up with a process at all. It was very disappointing. Still, tomorrow I speak with my agent about negotiating another raise on the next one. Oh, simple pleasures. A nice glass of wine.
What?
That's
that sounds so cool.
I would recommend buying the book.
That sounds so cool. Now, I had never heard of that until today. I would love to sit down because he's so interesting to me. He would be somebody that I would love to study and see if he drops some gems on on the process and his own process or something like that. So that'd be cool.
Well, the cool thing about Alan Rickman in terms of what people like Emma Thompson and of course his wife, who he dated and was very seriously committed to for years, they only married later. He was very encouraging of younger talent, and he was always very collaborative. And if there was some kind of catty effing bullshit within these productions, he would try and just stay slightly removed from it. He could still get catty. He could still get bitchy himself. But he was introverted, and he took the opportunity, when it was safe to do, to extend love to other cast members and crew members who he could identify and would need it. He didn't have any kids of his own. And before he became an actor, he was a graphic designer. So he had an understanding of how hard creatives can be on themselves and on each other if they're under stress. So my next question for you, Austin, is how do you take care of yourself as a professional creative when you're under stress?
That is such an amazing question. I think I have recently found meditation. I think that is something that I really enjoy. I call it the Sasser version of meditation, meaning I will buy a beautiful candle I will turn every light off in this room, and I will